We got soul.
Hey, we're back with the Jesse Lee Falls podcast. Thanks for joining me. So I want to talk about the micro music business. That's what this podcast is all geared towards. And I'm also going to talk about some different opportunities that have been coming my way personally. And so, yeah, let's dig in. So when I talk about the micro music business, it's really kind of a mindset that the way that you operate it as a musician, you operate on very small levels. And that, that's something that you can see where we start literally just by writing songs in our bedroom. And those songs are comprised of riffs. And those riffs are comprised of notes. And it's one of those things that you can dig down really deep on the microcosmic level. And I just think that, we tend to spend most of our time there. So I think it's wise to adopt that kind of mentality towards the way that you approach the business end. And what I want to do today, I want to share a personal story with you guys. Basically, what made me, what sparked my entrepreneurial spirit. So when I was, I think I was 9. I'm pretty sure I was 9. And my mom, single mom, she worked odd jobs from time to time, but I remember a lot of the time we were, she was collecting a welfare check, and we got our food with food stamps and all that good stuff. And I remember one Christmas, it was, I think 2 weeks before Christmas, and we hadn't gotten a tree yet. So I had walked up to my mom and I asked her when we were going to get a tree, and callously just told me that we weren't going to get one. So that really messed with me. And what I did was, so I had temper issues back then, and actually I still do. I still struggle with my temperament. It's probably why I'm a band leader, because even though I try to be kind and fair, when people try to take advantage of me, I have the capability to snap on them. And so I think it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of helped me, but in a way, it's kind of hurt me in areas. And when I was a kid, I would let my temper get the best of me, usually. And this time I didn't. Instead, I went into my bedroom and I sat there and I thought, and all of a sudden, this idea popped into my head just about a block away from where I lived. There was this tree that I used to always climb. Me and some of the other neighborhood kids, we used to always climb this. It's a big oak tree, I think. But whatever it was, it had mistletoe in it. And I just remember seeing, one time we were up there, and I remember seeing mistletoe. And I was like, oh. So all of a sudden, it just dawns on me that, hey, you should go climb that tree and pick all that mistletoe. It's Christmas. So I did. I went and I had a couple grocery bags, plastic Safeway bags, and I climbed the tree, put a bunch of it in the Safeway bags, brought it home. My mom had some red yarn, so I tied little red, bows around the mistletoe. And then I went door to door and I sold them for like 25 cents, 50 cents or something like that. And what had happened was I'd sold, I sold a few. I think people were giving me like $1 or something like that. And then I came across one house, and she just bought the whole bushel off me. She gave me $5. She asked me how much I needed, and I said $5, and so she gave me the $5, and she bought the rest off me. And so I ran home, and I knew Christmas trees were $10 at that time. They were let's see, this was 87. Yeah, 87. 86 or 87. I think it was 87. So I run home and I put $10 on, and you guys gotta remember, I did this in one day. This is one day. So I came home and put $10 on the table, and I'm thinking this was like a matter of, I think this all happened probably within a matter of 4 hours or something like that, 5 hours. So that right there just let me know that even for a 9-year-old kid, as helpless as my mom had made me feel, that there was just no way, like, this grown woman can't summon a Christmas tree. How am I gonna do it? And I did it. So that was the beginning of the monster, I guess. And I guess what I mean by the monster is it gave me a bit of a defiance disorder, because right then I basically kind of stopped listening to my mom. And so that made my teenage years, somewhat rebellious, but she just kind of like, I guess she just kind of always felt like I was going to be okay because I proved it to her that day. And so I think maybe she was maybe a little more relaxed with me. I've always had a bit of a warrior spirit, and I've got a kind of a bad temper at times. Like I said, that's worked for me and it's worked against me. Probably more against me in ways, but then I can't exactly say, because there's been times where I've had to stand up to people, and if I didn't have that that ability to be disagreeable when it's time to be disagreeable, then who knows where I'd be. So I just kind of want to give you guys a good outlook on like where I'm coming from, who I am. I wanted to share that story because that story, that was what made me an entrepreneur. I didn't know it at the time really, but I just knew that I just had this feeling that I could work for myself. I could just, or maybe I could invent something or be creative somehow, but and maybe run my own business. So that was what sparked the whole thing. I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations with music and trying to be a do-it-yourselfer. I do prefer it. I prefer it because it is hard. It's the hard road, but all the benefits that you get out of it, is knowledge and education, and all that knowledge and education is going to just help protect you along the way. We can talk more about like the 360 deal that the record labels are offering now, but I kind of want to save that for a later podcast, because it's just something, it's really just, it's all the negative sides of, signing to a major deal right now. So I want to kind of stay away from that. I actually kind of want to just keep talking about the micro attitude. Something that I think artists and musicians maybe take for granted, something that we need to kind of keep in check is, um, it's not about the quantity of gigs. And I'm sorry, actually, I guess what I mean by that is, you want your calendar to be full, and that's great. But the quantity of the places that you're playing, um, I know that we want to spread ourselves out, but I feel that when you have certain places that are they just absolutely love you and they treat you good every time, and those are kind of like your foundational go-to gigs. Or we kind of, sometimes you'll hear the phrase house gig, but that's not always the case. Sometimes there's just places that they just treat you so good that even if you don't get to play there a lot, like they treat you like family. And I would say that you want to just kind of stick to that. Because I think that musicians and bands get this grass is greener on the other side idea. It's like that's why we tour, and that we try to spread the risk. And we do need to spread ourselves out there. But what I'm talking about is, like, be really careful that you're not trying to put yourself into clubs that really just don't, they're not going to suit you. Maybe it's the demographic that they cater to, that it's like you should not be trying to play to that demographic. You should know your demographics. And it's just like when you're writing music, even on the business side, more isn't more. Sometimes more can turn to it can really make a band. Bands are so fragile. It takes the certain dynamics between people for it to really make it work. I know a lot of people who want to play in my band that don't want to travel. And that's a problem for me, because I do want to expand, and there's places that I play that are like 7 hours away from where I live, but it's like a family situation. And we have to really value those relationships. And so it's not about book your calendar and try to spread yourself out, so to the point where you're really just kind of, it's counterproductive. I had to start saying no to certain gigs, because maybe I'd played there a few times and we gave it a shot, but the problem is that every time we go there, it's the same. It's basically the wrong demographic. And even though we absolutely love maybe the owner, or maybe it's a bartender or somebody, the bar manager, or somebody that just absolutely loves us, it's like, if it's just not the right demographic, if it's just not the right place, it's like, it doesn't matter how much you want to be able to help that person and be able to deliver a good product. Sometimes it just doesn't work for the band. It's like, this is not helping our career. This isn't going to help our career. So getting to a place where you know how to say no, not disagreeably, because that's the thing. It's like, musicians, we primarily say yes to any and every gig that we can get. But you can really devalue yourself that way too, because it shows that you're not really using discernment, and that you don't really know. You're kind of shotgun troubleshooting what your market and what your demographic is. One thing I've noticed in any business and anything, being hyper focused is going to help you. And I think that that's what niche marketing is. A niche is really marketing something to a demographic or to a person in a hyper focused way.